Hello, welcome again to the Horns in Watford, our favourite venue, and we are indeed fortunate to have with us John Moss of Culture Club. John, thanks for coming along.
My absolute pleasure.
Mad, Bad and Dangerous, you feature in that book, and there's a story about you and the guys from the band getting lost backstage.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I don't know if it was... I mean, Spinal Tap must have come before the story.
I think
so
it did,
obviously, yeah. So I think it's just something that probably happens a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, we actually did that. We were wandering around backstage, we hadn't the faintest idea where we were, and we did come across the black guy sitting there with a big spanner. I mean, with a big spanner.
With the big spanner,
Just like a
in the
spanner.
field.
He went, yeah, you go left, you go right, you're going to like, what? Anyway, we'll go like rock and roll. Here we go on the stage. Got lost. I think it took about 20 minutes to get.
Didn't you get involved in some kind of scuffle with George in a props department?
Yeah. I think we ended up like in some basements with a sort of, showroom dummies or something like that. And we did have a bit of a punch-up.
Bit of a punch-up?
Not good just before we go on stage.
But did it
Especially with a man dressed like the sort of Empire State Building. It's really not,
But when you were on stage, was it all hunky-dory? Or
yeah, because it used to happen all the time, so we used to really, I mean, when you've been on tour, especially sort of in that part like Philadelphia, that part of America, nothing really matters anymore after a few months. So you just, I remember being on a plane with Roy, flying somewhere, because I don't like tour buses. I hate them. Which I suppose sounds odd, but and I remember I just stood up on the plane and I went, fucking bollocks, or something like that, because I forgot I was in a public place, because you get so used to being in this bubble of being on tour.
So when you could actually stand up and go bollocks on a tour
No, I
bus,
just did. I got up and I thought, what the fuck? I don't know what I did it for. I don't, it's very funny.
Just the frustration of the...
No, it wasn't that. It's what you do when you're in a bubble with people. In a band, there can be 40 of you, and there's 10 of you always in each other's company. You just, you don't really think about anything. You become very unself-conscious about anything.
Is it true what they say about this thing about when you're on tour? There's always somebody who has a bad day.
Yeah. There's always somebody who's got the black cloud.
Black cloud over them.
You can tell when the bus goes by, and there's always one guy with his face pressed up against the window, looking like hell.
But it's almost like it's their turn to have it.
Yeah, it just there's always. I mean, I remember I had one day where I couldn't stand anyone. I want to kill anyone. Don't talk to me. Don't want to do anything. Don't want to do anything. Don't want to do anything at all. And then the next day, you're the annoying one who's going, hello, everyone. That's great. Yeah.
Would you say that touring is difficult to do, especially when you have a home life and the frustrations of it sort of taking you away from all that?
When I was touring, I didn't have a family or anything at the time. But I think the hardest thing is that when you're on tour, you want to be at home. And when you're at home, you want to be on tour.
So it's like you're never in the right place.
You're never in the right place, no. I mean, it depends, really. I mean, I didn't really... Well, I don't know. I mean, it was just... I mean, it wasn't exactly Led Zeppelin when we were on tour, so...
It wasn't exactly Led Zeppelin.
No, it wasn't Led Zeppelin, but it was in a sort of feminine way, maybe. It wasn't,
Effeminate Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, no, that's not right. That's not right. But I mean, I think nowadays touring. I mean, obviously, it's nice to go on tour, but when you've got a family. The thing is, when you get older, you sort of have stuff around you, really, unless there's something wrong with you, of course, or unless you're very lucky. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it is quite odd. So it can sort of heighten that thing of me. But you've got Skype and all that crap, although I don't use it.
But I mean, in the old days, do you think that might be why people smash things up? Because it's the sort of frustration?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not... the thing is, I mean, to get married and start a family and then go out and tour with a new, as a beginning of your career is not really a good career move.
Two things don't necessarily go well together.
No, they won't. They're not going to work.
Unless you're older and perhaps you're more in charge of what you do.
Well, I think so. I mean, a very good example is you get a lot of people in bands who marry models or actresses or something like that. I mean, that's just not going to work, is it? I mean, that ain't going to work. How can it work? There's going to be a power balance, and if you're both away, family's not really on the cards.
I mean, some might say it's a bit of a mad thing to do. Do you think drummers in particular are a bit mad?
Well, I don't know really. I mean, when I joined the Clash, I remember Joe Strummer, God rest his soul. He said to me, "Sir, do you drive hot rods?" I went like, "What? Why do I drive hot rods?" He went, do you like Harley Davidsons? I went, "No." I said, "Yeah, but I don't, I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, all drummers like that kind of thing." I said, "Well, I don't." I said, "If you're a drummer, it's, you're the one who can't have a Harley Davidson, aren't you? You're the poor sod who's got to have an estate car.
You've got to have the van.
You've got to have the van. You're the one who organises." The thing about most of the top bands, somewhere along the line, even apparently the Police were like that, the drummer's the one at the beginning. He's got the van, gets the equipment,
gets all the gear,
gets everybody out of bed at 6 o'clock in the evening.
Organises all the gigs.
Yeah. Do we get thanked for it? No. But I think, I don't know. I think also being a drummer is sort of different because, I mean, if you're a multi-talented musician, which I'm not, modest, no. I think the problem is that there is that thing about being a drummer, and the most frustrating thing is that, you know, after the gig, when everyone's in the bar with all the girls and they've got the guitar and they're singing songs, you know, what the fucking hell are you supposed to do? You sit there with a little bloody tambourine or something.
Oh, you're probably packing your kit away, aren't you?
Oh, you're packing your kit away.
Where you've got
or you're tapping on the table with your hands, you know. That. So I think that can drive a lot of drummers bonkers.
And is it true that, you know, would you say that drummers being on it, the fact that they've got to be on it such 100% of the time musically, that actually drives a certain sanity about the whole thing?
Well, I think the thing is, you know, you never get thanked if you do a great gig, but you always get blamed if it's a bad
You always
gig.
get the blame if it's shit.
I'll tell you what I find, which is very interesting, actually. As the older I get, and when I play with guys who are really, they've seen it, done it. Unfortunately, a great friend of mine, Bob Weston, who died last year, it's a shame, you know, he would say something like, oh, you know, you're the greatest drummer I played with because you're just there. You know, it's none of this, all right, there's technical stuff and everything, but it's really nice when people just want you to be there and on it. And they can, that's all they want. And with your age and sort of experience, I mean, I could just sit down and I know my style and I can just be on it. And I find that's what people most appreciate
and
now, which is great.
It can be more enjoyable, can't it?
Well, it's not a matter of that. It's just a matter of playing. There's a difference of playing and playing with people. You know, and I find, I mean, I love playing with people. Sorry, scrub that. I like being in a band, you know, and it's the thing. It doesn't, I mean, I'm in a band, a little band I do in Hampstead House. It's like, you know, we do covers, but I love doing covers. It's got the covers I like. We do the Who and stuff. But it's that feeling when you're playing with a band, and at the end you all look at each other, and it's great.
And that in a sense is even more therapeutic for me, playing the drums themselves.
No, for me, all my life, that's all it's been. It's been about playing in a band and being with people, because you forget everything else. You forget everything else, and when you're on it, that moment when you're playing and you're on it and everybody's on it,
it just gels.
It's the same thing as drugs. I don't need to take drugs anymore. I'll just stand up quickly. You know what I mean? That'll do it for me.
Just go around in circles.
But you know, as you get old, I always thought when you got older that, you know, everything would be very nice. You have a little Fox's Glacier mint on the side of the sofa when you're television program. It's not like that at all. You know, it gets worse. So you more and more, I think you need something to take you away.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and that's a really good.
And when you're really, I mean, in the early days, did you ever get this sudden feeling of panic on stage, thinking, who am I? What am I doing? How do I do this? Blind panic?
No, not so much blind. Well, yeah. I'll tell you what happened to me once. It happened to me twice in my life. Once when I used to drive a van just to get some money for the van. I remember I was driving every day the same route, and I remember I was driving somewhere around Hyde Park, and I forgot how to drive. I was driving away, and I suddenly thought, fucking hell, what am I doing? I had no idea. Smashed into a gate, you know, into a metal railing, and then it all came back to me. And I had it on stage once. I was playing away, and I think I'd been on tour for 3 months in America, and it's quite intense. And you know, I'm playing away, and I can't remember what I was thinking about. I don't know, buying a new pair of shoes or something. And I'm suddenly aware that I'm on stage and 50,000 people, and everybody's looking at me. I have the faintest idea what I'm doing. I've been on total automatic pilot. I suddenly had no idea, and I looked down. I remember, you know the way you look down, if you're a drummer, you look down your bass drum pedals. I remember looking at my bass drum pedal and going, like, fucking hell.
How do I do that?
Faintest idea. Even my foot looked weird, you know, and I suddenly thought, what the hell am I doing?
So your muscle memory had stopped working.
Exactly, yeah. And the other thing I always know, a friend of mine, an actor, told me years ago, is that, you know, we were playing and it was a very big audience, and what you always learn to do as you're a performer is you never catch anybody's eye. You always look above, always look over their heads. You must.
Into the mid-distance.
So anyway, I'm playing, I think it was Wembley or something, I don't know, you know, and this girl, she's in the second row, and I'm up on the drum riser. I'm playing away, and I catch her eye, and that was it. The whole gig, I was like, that's ridiculous. I was just smiling away at me, and I was all putting my concentration. I was trying desperately not to be aware of her, but I caught her eye, and she's smiling away, and I'm smiling away, and I'm not thinking about what I'm doing.
Yeah, but the more you have to look, then, don't you? Because you know you're not supposed to.
I became really how can you become self-conscious in front of 50? No, that's not right, is it? But anyway, I became self-conscious, which was ridiculous. So that was. Did
you fancy it, or was? Or
no, I don't know. I can't remember. I just, you know.
Just one of those things. So you have to be careful.
I could actually see her very well. That was the trouble.
You're just aware that
just the eyes, you know.
She selected you out for special attention.
Yeah, I mean, but that's. I think the strangest thing is when you do something. You know, that's the only thing about touring. It's you do something a lot.
And you forget things, don't you?
Yeah, become autopilot.
Like forgetting to come in on Victims live.
Oh yeah, I tell you, of all the things I've ever done, what happened was that Victims got quite a long intro. For about 2 or 3 minutes of slow piano. Sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's short, depending on how George would space the words out. So rather than sitting there on stage like that, it's all right at first, you think this is great, you know, it's like twiddling your stuff around. You know, and after a while you think, oh, fuck this, you know, go off and have a fact, basically, when you could smoke inside. That's how long ago it was. So I can't remember where I was. I think it was Newcastle, actually. And So I go off, you know, and it's a little bit of a way to the dressing room, and our manager was in there, and I'm having a cigarette, you know. I was sitting there talking away, you know, completely, you know, sort of forgotten what was going on. And I suddenly think, fuck, you know, I'm supposed to come in on this, you know, the big thing, the big drum roll. So I run back on stage, you know, and apparently they played this thing round 4 times, right?
Wondering where you were.
George just wants to kill me. The others are laughing, and then it's then become such a joke that I have to actually get up and say to everybody, here it comes, you know, which broke the tension. Everyone went, yes. And then I sat down, and of course, I had to think about what I was going to do because I was used to coming off. But it was all right. But I mean, it's not a good. I mean, it's that moment you're sitting there, thinking like, fucking hell, I'm supposed to be on stage right in the middle of a gig, high point, you know.
Something else happened, didn't it, with the Damned and a drum stool? Didn't it?
Oh yeah, but everyone must have had that, yeah.
The old-fashioned ones where they weren't made properly.
Yeah, the old-fashioned ones. Was, you know, most drum stools, you know, they consist of a sort of padded seat with a metal plate, and the thing goes up like that, and you know, you clamp it up. Cheap ones didn't really have a metal plate. They tend to, you know, have a little thin wooden plate. So I'm playing with the Damned, and it's all like really, really fast. I'm really going for it, you know, taking maybe some drugs, I don't know, you know, whatever. But anyway, I'm going away, and suddenly the breaks.
Yeah.
It was that close.
Really?
It was that close. It was that close. The reality wasn't there, but when I actually looked down and thought, what could have happened? Seriously, what could have happened?
Yeah.
You know, it's Vlad the Impaler time, mate. I mean, it was, you know, so I made sure that I spent some money on a good drum set.
A good drum stool.
Absolutely, yeah.
Talking of being injured or sick, what's the worst thing that's happened to you in terms of having to play when you've been either?
Well, I'll tell you what happened to me a couple of years ago. I didn't break my back, I broke a bone in my back, and the bone lodged on my sciatic nerve. Well, this is an interesting story. So we hadn't played together for about 8 or 9 years. I get to rehearsal, fucked. I mean, I can't tell you the pain. Yeah, the pain, you know. So I went to have I had a spinal injection. It was all right, and then it kept going. And I tried to play, but I couldn't. I mean, anybody who's had that, it's agony. I mean, it is agony. It's impossible. The worst thing is that George was sort of saying, "Oh, fuck off. There's nothing wrong with you." It is the worst pain I've ever had. But I think also, if you're, you know, something like food, I played with food poisoning. You know, there's certain things that it's not like when you've got a cold, you're very tired, but something that's really debilitating, like, you know, typhus or something like that. Yeah. But I mean, chronic food poisoning because you've eaten some crap in America.
Well,
you know?
I've been told by a lot of drummers that they do get this, but when they play, they seem to get through it.
It can happen. The adrenaline. The thing is, yes, it can, but it depends how debilitating it is. Because I mean, if something's really bad, you just haven't got any strength, you know. Like,
well, I think it was Ian Mosley told us that when you come off tour, you get what you should have had.
Well, they call them groove boils, don't they? You know, they come off tour, and the day the plane lands in London at the end of the tour, all of a sudden their face erupts, you know, from all the poisons and the toxins. But no, I actually looked after myself on tour. I was quite odd.
So there's not a lot of booze and drugs with Culture Club then?
Well, I don't know about Culture Club, but not with me, funny enough. Not on tour, because I always thought it's stupid to do it when you're working.
Yeah.
The musicians and the people in a band, the biggest problem is what you do when you're not working, because you're so hyped up from everything. You come to rest and it's like, well, I don't know what to do. So that may be, if there is a time, maybe that's the time to sort of fill in your leisure time, but not when you're working.
No.
I mean, I think a couple of times on tour I got really smashed, you know, and I mean, you can't on tour. You've got people around you, you're travelling.
Because you get
paranoid as well, you know.
Paranoia can set it. Yeah. Talking of stamina, what do you think about studies that have been done that have suggested that to be a drummer on tour, to do a 2-hour gig, you've got to be able to run a half marathon?
Well, no.
I think it's nonsense.
I think it's bollocks, actually. I do. I'll tell you, I think of what it is. It depends what sort of drummer you are. When I was in, you know, sort of the early punk bands, it was really fast, and I was performing, all the cymbals are high up and everything. I think what happens is you learn. Yes, it is a stamina, but it's a type of you learn to control.
So it's all. Yeah,
I mean, the older you get, the lower the cymbals get. You know, and you have to. When you're old, you have to learn. Because I'm really fit, but I still. You've got lots of things with your muscles and stuff to pick up. So you learn the stamina comes from strength within, you know. So it's minimal movement, but with real. Yeah. You find that when players, because I find a lot of drummers that get older, it's like they manage to get a really big sound with very little movement. And I think that's a skill. And that's a mature skill that you learn, you know. And if you don't.
I find now that I can actually play longer gigs than I could in my 20s. Definitely. They were so frantic in the 20s.
You're like,
the style is just speed and attack, and that's it. Whereas now I like to.
And also, you do all the stuff you want to get noticed. I mean, being a drummer is horrible, so you always like go, right, look at me twiddling his sticks around, you know. I did a kick the other day, and sticks up in the air. Of course, it went flying off, you know. Like,
a little bit of that sort of elaborance.
Yeah, but not when you drop it.
Not when you drop it.
It's not cool.
Hi, sorry it's raining. Hope you enjoyed that first part of our interview with John Moss of Culture Club. Second part up next week. If you haven't already seen it, please check out our recent interview with Topper Headon and all our other videos over there. And in the meantime, please always remember to like, subscribe and share with all your friends, and of course keep enjoying this lovely weather. Cheers for now. Bye.
When it sounds like in the band, and when you hit it, you know, I can normally tell you if the drum's in tune just by hitting it, it'll feel right.
Yeah.
I changed the head of my snare. So boring. I'm sorry. Changed the snare of my head the other day. Worn it, nearly time to change it again before it sounds right. It's like a haircut. You know, the day your hair looks really great, you think that's good. The next day you need a haircut.
And when you've had your haircut, it looks so obvious.
Yeah, you spend the whole month waiting for that one day. Yeah,
especially this part.
Yeah, exactly. All right. There's obviously something going on stage. You know, I can tell now when I see a young man, I can say he doesn't like him. He's the one who does that. It's funny.
That's lovely.
I go home now.
Right. Okay. When I shout open, that's obviously the cue to open. Okay.